Ish, where wellness gets unfiltered. This is the podcast where real talk meets whole self-transformation. I am your host, Autumn Noble O'Hanlon. I'm a coach, healer, author, and wellness guide, and I have created this unfiltered space for women who want more out of life, but on their own terms. Every week, we will dive into the messy, beautiful, and often contradictory layers of wellness, covering everything from career shifts and body image to energy healing, intuitive living, fitness, burnout recovery, and creating change that actually sticks. Whether you're chasing a new chapter, healing old wounds, or just trying to reconnect with yourself in a loud, overwhelming world, Lady-ish is here to support your evolution. You can expect honest conversations, coaching wisdom, holistic tools, spiritual insights, and permission to be a little bit of everything and nothing that you're not. Because wellness isn't one size fits all, and neither are you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are unpacking a little bit more about my story and how I ended up on this crazy journey that I have been on, and specifically how and why I walked away from a very successful, lucrative legal career to essentially wipe my slate completely clean and go out on a limb doing coaching, writing, speaking, and engaging in some little bit out there woo-woo holistic work, and how looking back now, this path seems pretty obvious and the pieces make a lot more sense than they did when I was stumbling through them. Over the past several months, I've been doing a lot of work studying life purpose and meaning and alignment and trying to figure out the best path to help people unpack their true calling and help them find more purpose in their lives. When I look back at all of the incredible women that I've worked with over the years, there is a common theme in this desire for more meaning, more space for what truly matters, maybe a job that aligns with your true calling and passion, something that lights you up in a way that maybe you haven't felt in a really long time. There are so many of us out there that are making the money, we're paying the bills, we look really good on paper, but behind closed doors, maybe at night when we lay down to go to bed and we have a moment to catch our breath, there's a lot of discomfort and tension around how we're spending our lives. And I know that for me personally, I had a lot of really dark nights just asking myself, is this really it? This just doesn't feel meaningful. It doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm wasting my time. And the more I started to ask that question, the more painful day in and day out became. Despite the money, despite all of the prestige, I just knew that I couldn't go on living like this forever because it felt like something inside of me was breaking. Years ago, when I started kind of unpacking all of these questions, I wanted to get support. And so I reached out to a coach, to a holistic energy healer as well, and got them on my team and started meeting with them regularly to try and understand what I was experiencing and to try and unpack what I was supposed to do with my life and why I felt so rudderless, despite the fact that I had clearly been on a career path that I knew from the get-go exactly where it was going to go. But yet there I was at the end of that path and just felt completely lost. And these women were incredibly transformative in my life. I continue to meet with both of them regularly and have engaged additional support over the years. But what I have found is that the moments in between those sessions is where I really needed the most support. I would go to these sessions and I would leave feeling incredibly empowered and excited and ready to kind of take on the challenge and do all the things that I needed to do to create a life that was more aligned. And then I'd wake up the next day and what I know now, my primitive brain that likes what it knows and it likes my routine, that part of me would talk me right back out of it. And so the longer the time went in between those sessions with my people, the harder it was for me to make progress because I needed that daily accountability. And so I started looking for resources that could help me be more accountable day in and day out. And what I found were a lot of those resources were in the form of these 30-day programs of different types and forms from various coaches and teachers out there. And usually the price was somewhere from, $50 to $100, and you spend 30 days and they hold you accountable. And I found real meaning and support in those programs, but I just thought there's got to be a better way of supporting people and providing access to daily support that can help them realign in between coaching sessions or in between therapy sessions, or whatever support they were getting could help them in between to take that work even deeper. Because what I found over the years is that our brain is just designed to keep us in the known, in the routine, in the spaces that we feel really comfortable. And anytime you consider making a change, your brain freaks out and gives you all the reasons why it shouldn't work. And physiologically, your body reacts. You feel that tension, that increased heart rate. And it's easy to see all that and experience all that and think, okay, maybe this is a really bad idea. My brain's got all these ideas why it's never going to work and I should just stay where I am. And my body is having sort of a physical reaction to even contemplating all of these changes. And so in those moments with my coaches and mentors, I felt very excited about the changes that we were contemplating. But the second that I would leave, that primitive brain would take over and I would buy into it hook, line, and sinker and kind of backpedal on all of the plans that I had established. And this pattern just kept repeating again and again in my life. I would notice what I wanted to change. I would see it and I would know the steps that I had to take, but yet I just felt stuck. I felt like there was no realistic way for me to move forward. And so I just found myself living the same life over and over again, responding in the same way, making the same choices and falling back into the same cycles. And it's not because I wasn't trying, but I just realized that knowing what to do is not the same as integrating that information and actually becoming somebody else. And that real gap between knowing and action, that's the work. All of that being said is why I created my private podcast space, Becoming Her, Ladyish Unfiltered. In that space, we take everything that we talk about here and everything that I coach on my clients on in private, and we go deeper and we slow it down and we start to learn how to integrate it. We move from thinking about change to actually practicing it in real life. And I will say, even for me in creating these programs, when you engage in these journaling exercises or shadow work exercises every single day, it's kind of mind-blowing to recognize how much we hold ourselves back and how much those old patterns creep up and keep us from living the life that we want to live. I'll give you the most ridiculous example. When I was doing my shadow work journey, and I can't remember which one it was in my premium space, but one of the episodes or one of the series, we were kind of unpacking our shadow around identity, and specifically the identities that were created within our families and how that has impacted how we show up in life. And what I uncovered, and I see this in a lot of us, is that we have a real identity around having it all together and kind of being perfect and not making mistakes. And especially those of us that live in heavily regulated professions like being a lawyer, any semblance of a mistake or a misstep, it can be detrimental to your career. But when you live in that space and you build an identity around not making mistakes, it eventually translates to your personal life. And there becomes this real discomfort around admitting that you've made mistakes. And I find it, now that I've sort of recognized this in my life, I find that it shows up in the dumbest and most ridiculous ways. And it's not necessarily, making or breaking my life, but I'm just seeing how that tendency is keeping me from doing the silliest little things. For example, the other day, I went to the fitness club early to work out. I took a shower there. I had my shower bag there. I get out of the shower, get ready, go to work, all of the things. The next day I go back to do the same thing again. And I realize I don't have my shower bag. I'm like, oh my gosh, I must have left it in the shower. And immediately the pattern kicks in. Oh my God, how could you do that? What kind of an idiot are you? They're going to think you're the dumbest person who takes a shower and leaves all their stuff there and then proceeds to get ready and leaves without even recognizing it's there. And I actually caught myself telling myself, don't go ask the front desk because they're going to think that you're dumb. Just go buy new stuff. Like, how cheap are you that you can't just go buy a new shower bag, new body wash, and new shampoo and conditioner? Like, what's wrong with you? Don't make a big deal out of this. You're going to look like a total idiot. Don't bother to ask. And I honestly felt like in that moment, I couldn't believe the way I was talking to myself. But what's more, I felt like the universe was testing me in all of this identity work that I had just started to understand. And so I told myself, I'm going to go ask the front desk if there is a lost and found and my shower stuff is in it. So I go up there and I ask the front desk guy, and it's somebody new. It's someone that I don't know. And so I'm thinking, oh God, okay, this is even more embarrassing. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know that I'm not an idiot. He's going to think I'm just this dumb blonde who just like misplaces her stuff. And so I trudge all the way back up to the front desk and I ask this kid who doesn't know who I am, is there a lost and found? And he opens his cabinet and it's not in there. And I'm thinking, there is no way that is the only lost and found. The only thing that is in that lost and found is clothing. And I thought, you know what? I bet this guy has no idea. I've never seen you before. He's probably not the person I should be asking. So then I leave, go home, shower, get ready for work. Next day, I go back and I see my front desk guy there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to ask him. Like, he knows me. He knows I'm not a total idiot. Like, why don't I just ask him? But that discomfort comes up. What kind of an idiot are you? Forgetting your shower stuff, all of that. We already asked the front desk once, like, really, are you coming back here and asking me again, Autumn? Like, what is wrong with you? He already told you that it's not here. He already looked. All of these ideas and judgments about what an idiot he thought I would be were coming at me. And I had this in my head, long pause around like, do I do it or do I not do it? Do I just go buy some new stuff? Like, God, I feel like a total idiot. And I went and I asked. And you know what? I was right. There was another lost and found somewhere that the guy that I knew and trusted, he went and he got it and he brought me all my stuff. And I really think it was the universe's way of just highlighting how those dumb little judgments about ourselves keep us from doing the simplest and littlest things. We don't want people to judge us. We don't want people to think that we're dumb or that we're difficult. All of those are sort of baked into the smallest decisions that we make day in and day out, whether we complain about something, whether we send food back, whether we make a return for something that doesn't fit. All of those conditioned thinking and thoughts around who we're supposed to be and what people will make our actions mean that we develop very on in life, and we bake into these identities. And when you have an identity built around being perfect, or not giving anyone room to judge you, gossip about you, or think that you're dumb, small everyday tasks can be a little bit paralyzing. And until we start unpacking those identities and that conditioning, it can be really difficult to identify how those patterns play out day in and day out. And I got to be honest with you, I have been doing this work for years, like well over a decade. And I had no idea how that identity played itself out in the silliest little things, just like that. Admitting, I wouldn't even know if you would call it a mistake, but admitting I'm not perfect. I forgot something here the other day, and how hard that was for me. And so now I'm sort of seeing it in all different aspects of my life, but it was going through a daily exploration of my identity, how I was socialized, how I was conditioned, and what I make all those things mean about me and who I am, that helped me start seeing this and unraveling it and building strength and resilience by pushing back on that identity and doing the silly little things like asking the front desk person if I left my stuff here and letting them think whatever they want to think and not letting me beat myself up over it. It sounds really small, but that is a shift that's helping me to show up more in ownership and authenticity for who I am, and to let go of that past conditioning and judgment around not being perfect. All of this is to say that I created this private space, Becoming Her, to give you those little 2-minute daily journal exercises on a variety of topics. There's a 30-day series on your identity. There's another 30-day series on money and how we relate to money. There's another 30-day series on love and attachment. And even though I'm the one creating this, these exercises have been incredibly powerful for me. Just doing them daily has really trained my brain to question those automatic responses, actions, and my crappy private speech and the way I talk to myself when things don't go well. I've really enjoyed creating this, and I'm really excited about where this is going in the future. This month, I'm recording this in April, we're going through embodiment and emotional regulation. It sounds really fluffy, but I will tell you, in this day and age where AI is continually replacing jobs and changing the way we interact with technology, studies have shown, you can pull up the report from the World Economic Forum on forecast of jobs. And what that will tell you is that one of the most essential skills for the next generation of workers and this existing generation of workers is resilience. And emotional regulation is a critical element to resilience, because if you're not able to handle all of the negative emotions that come up when you're stressed out, when you're overwhelmed, when you are on the brink of burnout, you are never going to be able to handle the fast pace of change that is coming at all of us. So this month in the premium space, we're working through embodiment and emotional regulation, trying to figure out how we handle stress and powerful emotions in our bodies and learning how to handle them differently so that we don't snap at people, so that we don't blow our lid, and so that we can honor our experience without letting those emotions dictate how we show up. In May on the premium space, we're releasing a series inside that private podcast called How to Change Your Life. And that is something that has previously only been available to my private coaching clients. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's everything that I have learned from coaching hundreds of women and professionals all over the world for years. It is the critical tools that I have found will actually help them to change their life. It's not dramatic. It's not overnight transformation. It's a grounded, real, and sustainable approach to meaningful change in your life. In that series, we'll talk about how change actually happens, why most people stay stuck, and how to start making decisions and shifts that compound over time. So if you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, I don't just want to hear this, I want to do more of the work, but maybe you're not ready to make the investment in one-on-one coaching, this is your invitation to take a baby step in that direction. Becoming Her is the space for that. It's where we close the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming with real, integrated, supported change for less than 5 minutes a day. You can join at any time and begin with the starter path that I created to give you an introduction and foundation to this work. From there, you can move through the content at your own pace. There is no such thing as falling behind. So wherever you are in your process right now, you are not behind, you're just in it, along with the rest of us. And when you're ready to go deeper, I would love to have you inside that private space. I'll link everything in the show notes so that you can explore it for yourself. But until next time, keep noticing and choosing differently and working towards becoming her and that person that you really, truly want to be, a person that is aligned and lives a life that reflects their true values.